So good evening, everyone, welcome to our Healthy Hangout. I am so happy, and we're also happy you're here. We have a great topic, and we're going to have a couple do a testimonial, and Kabrena is going to introduce that couple. So welcome.
All right. Well, thanks, Mitzi. I'm excited to be here with everybody. And in particular, I'm really excited to hear Christy Oxford and her husband, Grant Bailey, share their journey so far. Christy and Grant just literally got here. Awesome. They are friends of mine. Christy's a colleague of mine in my other non-Optavia job. She and her husband are both just wonderful people. And so when they approached me and wanted to know a little bit more about the program, I was really excited because I knew that they'd have great success. And so I'm excited to hear what they have to say. And I guess I'll just set it up by saying that we're talking about goals and when life interferes with those goals tonight. And I think both Christy and Grant's story is a great example of how there are realities that we have to deal with. And if you want to be successful in the program, you need to grab hold of those big rocks and hold tight and make them a priority. And so with that, Christy and Grant, why don't you go ahead?
All right, well, hi, everybody, welcome. We're glad to be here and doing our testimonial. So I'll just start by kind of giving a background about how I got here and so how we got here. So we've always been really active, even before we met. How many years ago was that?
Long time ago.
But we both love to do skiing and snowshoeing in the winter and backpacking and whitewater rafting in the summer and cycling. And there was a time when we did sprint distance triathlons together. And so that is what we get excited about in life. But we also really like to eat food and we like cooking and trying new recipes. And we like celebrating with wine and beer. And so I've lived for years in the wine country in California and different places in California, wine countries, and then moved to the Tri-Cities, Eastern Washington area, which is another and burgeoning wine country. So I promise I'm not doing that on purpose, and we're going to totally sound like lushes here, but it just happened. And so we were geographically separated a lot because Grant was in the military for 20 years and retired in 2015. And between me being in graduate school, getting my PhD in microbiology, virology, and then also being an Air Force reservist, I did orders on the East Coast. And so we're just always all over the place and geographically separated. So for us, when we got together, it was party time. It was time to eat and time to drink and time to have fun. And so fast forward to 2015, I got the job at Pacific Northwest National Laboratory here in Tri-Cities. Grant retired from the Air Force, and we were in celebration mode because now we're finally together, and so we're eating and we're drinking, and then I went from being pretty active to a lot of my work was data analysis and a little bit of laboratory work, but I mean, for the first 2 or 3 years, I sat and I gained 30 pounds within just a couple of years pretty quickly. It was easy to do with all the reasons that I explained. And so I've never been one for diets. I think actually, I'll let you talk. You've gained some weight too for the same reasons, right?
Yeah, like she said, we've always been pretty active. I always strived in the military to be the oldest guy who was beating all the young people. So I was always wanting to be the best in shape, and I always was for the most part. We did, like she said, triathlons, half marathons, those kind of things, mountain biking, that kind of stuff. again, with the alcohol thing, my bachelor degree is actually in wine. So so yeah, and our dogs are named Bacchus and Ninkasi, which is god of wine and goddess of beer. So again,
There might be a theme there.
yeah, but yeah, for the most part, I've always fluctuated in the military. I was between 205 and 210. I think when we started this, I got up to about 2023, which was really high for me. And I was like, ugh. And honestly, I was still working out at the time. I'm still lifting weights. I'll run 5-7 miles, doing pull-ups, boxing, that kind of stuff, and was still gaining weight.
It's kind of like what I remember somebody else saying, that, you know, you pound your body, you know, you beat yourself up by working out, and somehow it's probably a combination of age and then just that we're just eating and drinking more calories than is going out. So that's what got us here. And I've never been one for dieting, because I know how to lose weight. I've lost weight before, a significant amount of weight, and kept it off. So I kind of knew what the magic sauce was, so to speak, but I kept saying I'm going to do it. And I just did, I just had one excuse after the other. So then I saw Kabrena's picture on, I think it was on Facebook or on some social media, Kabrena. And I was like, oh my gosh, wow, like she is doing something. And so I reached out to her and heard about the Optavia plan. And I talked to Grant about it. And I said, whatever I'm doing, which really means not doing, is not working. And so he said, I'm on board. I totally support you, and it'll be good for me as well. And so we started in November, and we've both lost about 20 pounds. So we are not on a speed record.
Slow and steady.
Compared to others. And so that's what, we wanted to talk about a little bit, which might be a good intro for what Kabrena is going to talk about. But, first of all, starting in November is not a great time if you like to party at the holidays. But then, as I told Kabrena, I said, I realize that, but no time is a good time, right? I mean, you're either going to start or you're not going to start. So let's just do it. And so, but we definitely have had those struggles where, we went to see family, and when mom cooks, you don't say no, you don't want to hurt people's feelings. And so that's been a bit of a struggle. And then, birthdays came and anniversaries came, and it's, let's take a weekend here and there. And what are we going to do? Not celebrate, which our way of celebrating, as I mentioned, was eating. So we are the poster children of we off the horse and getting back on. But we stuck to it and just kept, if we slipped up, we just got back on. And I think that things are going really well. The other life event for me, or not really event, but it's just how my life is. I work in a high containment laboratory on dangerous pathogens, viruses. And so it takes me about 20 minutes to suit up, take off street clothes, put on scrubs, put on Tyvek, put on gowns, put on a helmet and a PAPR that has a face covering over it, so that I'm not breathing in, dangerous viruses. And so, you take 20 minutes to get in there, which means you're not leaving anytime soon, because it takes another about 20 minutes to get out of there. And so we're often in there for, 4 to 6 hours. And there's no drinking, there's no eating at all whatsoever. And so being on Optavia has been, a challenge in that sense. I'm there at least for a week out of every month. And the first time I did it, I remember telling Kabrena afterwards, I was like, I was so hungry when I got out of the lab that my coworkers wanted to go out to eat. And so, I was ravenous. And of course I, ordered something and had way too many calories. And so we talked about just bring, a fueling or two. And that way, even if you're going to go out with your friends and they're going to order whatever they're going to order at the restaurant, you have your feelings. And so, even if I might have a little bit of something at a restaurant, at least I've had my fueling so that I'm not as hungry and I'm not eating, 1,000 calories. And so I've since done that, and that's actually worked out well to where last week I had one fueling after that, 5-hour episode, and I was still really hungry. And so I thought, well, I should have 2 fuelings because I missed that many. And that's only, 200 calories. And so after that, I actually was not hungry and I didn't need to eat more. And then just try to pound water, make up that water intake that I missed. So that's definitely a challenge, but it can be done. And I think that the eating part on the plan for me has not been difficult. The fuelings give, eating every 2 to 3 hours gives me enough. And the big struggle is not having that glass of wine at the end of a hard work day, but we're getting there. so I've had some success and I'm really happy with it. So I've got a little bit more to go, and then I'll be kind of on the maintenance plan. So what about you?
I'm sorry, I've been in the sun in vineyards for about 8 hours, so I just walked in the door.
That's his life challenge.
Yeah. So I sit all day staring at. So yeah, I'm actually hurting right now.
Well, I just love that you guys keep at it. And I mean, the reality is life comes at all of us, and we can use those life experiences or life events as an excuse to go off the rails, or we can dig in. And you guys have dug in, and it's so exciting to see the success that you're having.
I will say I do all the cooking, so this has been a lot of time savage for me. Dinner, and so I'll make dinner, but everything else is like, throw some water in there, nuke it, and there you go. Good on. More time on my hands. So
This has actually been great for that, because Grant would make meals, and I kind of understand like what the veggies and the carbs, and I'm talking pre-Optavia, but he didn't always think about that stuff or think about portion control. Like he should be eating more than me because we're different sizes and energy. When he works out in the vineyards all day, he probably needs to take in some more calories. And so this has been a great learning experience for him. And how many times, Kabrena, have I said, I can't believe we get to eat this on a diet. Like some of the 5-in-1 lean and green meals are so good. And so I know that once, we get to our goal weight, which is soon, eating those is going to be a continued life thing. So, yeah.
You guys are awesome. I think you guys are awesome. And it does fit right into what Kabrena's topic is. So it fits exactly with what she's going to be talking about. So we're so happy you were here to share that. And thank you for your service in the military, by the way.
yeah, our pleasure.
It's our honor. Thank you so much. Thanks for letting us talk.
Great. Okay, so I know that we've got about 15 minutes. So I have some slides that I prepared mainly to keep me on point and stop me from blathering on. Can everybody see my slides okay? Perfect. Okay, so what we're going to talk about tonight is goals and your why, and kind of pulling on the thread that Christy and Grant were talking about how to stick to your goals when life interferes. And so before going into that, I just wanted to share my before and after pictures. I always was pretty active and didn't really have a problem with my weight, but when I transitioned out of the military, my body wasn't as able to sustain the pounding that I would have, and I didn't know how to eat healthfully. And so the pounds started packing on, and this was me on about July 2nd or July 3rd, just a day or two before I started my program. And the picture of me in the Air Force thing is from December. So it was several months after I reached my goal weight, and I made sure that my shirt matched my cat. So it's proof that the program does work. But when we think about goals, one of the things that is so awesome about Optavia and the overall habits of health is that Dr. A gives us the big rocks for our jar. We get the life book and the habits of health, which is kind of our blueprint for how this all works. We're given the tools, which is the things that we eat, the fuelings and the water, and how to concoct our lean and green. And then you have the support, and all of that can help you achieve your goals in all areas of your life. And that's great. And we also talk about how important it is to extend that thinking to all the other areas of our life, but we don't really spend a lot of time talking about, okay, but how does that work in practice? I mean, yeah, it's important to stick to your big rocks, but how do I know what's a big rock? I'm completely changing how I approach my health. And so, yes, I know what I need to eat, but how does that apply to fitness? How does that apply when I have a loved one who's got COVID or who's in hospice, and all I want to do is sit at their bedside all night because I'm worried about them? And so what is true is that one person's big rocks are maybe going to be different than another person's big rocks. But what extends past the fuelings and everything that we talk about in weight loss is the fact that you need to hold on to those big rocks. And that's why the very first section in the life book is what? What is your why? And it seems like that's one of those things, like Dr. A talks about. We may think we know our why, but unless we write it down and we put it into words, it's really hard to hold tight to it when life happens. And so for anybody who has not done that activity in your life book, I heartily recommend getting in there and at least doing that, because that'll spill over into everything that you do in terms of really appropriating and integrating those habits of health into all areas of your life. And going back to the topic at hand, knowing your why helps you prioritize your big rocks. So again, with the eating, we kind of give you those big rocks, and we tell you don't innovate. The big rocks were carefully chosen. The fuelings were carefully formulated, and so then when people choose other kinds of things for snacks that are not approved, and they start seeing equivocal results, well, there's a reason they're not sticking to the big rocks. So, but how do you, my chat is covering, how do you navigate those big rocks beyond the 5 and 1? Well, it's a little scary because you get to decide. But there's a flip side to that, which is you get to decide. You can take your big rocks and think of that as that is a gift to yourself. And so what I tell people is really take some time and write down your goals. Actually, start from just starting to write, and you will be surprised at what you learn about yourself. And like Flannery O'Connor has said, I write to discover what I know. You may think that you know your big rocks, but sometimes people will say this or that thing is really important to me. And then you ask them, well, when was the last time you did that? And they say, oh, 5 years ago. It's like, well, either that's not really a big rock, or maybe it is a big rock and you're sacrificing, and that's something that needs to be addressed, because that's not sustainable if it truly is a big rock. So, okay, but here's a secret. So when we talk about trying to make sure that we're successful when life comes at us, there's no possible way that you could possibly be prepared for every single thing that life is going to throw at you. I mean, living life is a guarantee that you're going to get curveballs. And it could be a bad thing, like maybe a loved one gets COVID, or I got an avulsion fracture on my ankle a few weeks ago, and I'm still not happy about that, but it's a curveball, and it's something that I have to deal with. Or it could be something positive. Maybe you get to go on vacation, or maybe you get a promotion you weren't expecting. Maybe you have an opportunity to do something that you weren't expecting, but it throws off your schedule. So you can't prepare for every single thing, but what you can do is you can prepare yourself to be as resilient and as strong as possible, so that when those life things hit you, then you're as strong as you possibly could be, and you're more likely to come out of it in a positive way. And if it's a good curveball, you'll be better able to enjoy it rather than being stressed out. And so just a couple of helpful things that I like to think about. Once you know what your big rocks are, it's so important to communicate those big rocks to your family and friends. We talk about the importance of a healthy surrounding. And I don't know about you, but like when I go on vacation with my family, I may have certain things that I want to do, but because of whatever, I will be sometimes more likely to just put that up on the shelf and sacrifice that, as opposed to communicating it to my family. And what I realize actually in putting together these slides is that I'm setting myself up for at least negative thoughts, if not, some major crisis, because I'm not attending to a big rock. So being clear on what the big rocks are, but then also making sure people around you are aware of that. And sometimes maybe you can't fully achieve a big rock, but do what you can and celebrate what you're able to accomplish. If it's something that is not truly a big rock, then acknowledge that maybe it's something that you're not going to be able to do every day, or maybe, a big rock. I thought a big rock for me on this vacation here in Florida was going to be stand-up paddleboarding, but then I had the avulsion fracture and I realized that's not really a big rock. So you also have to tell yourself and remind yourself. And so, yeah, big rocks shouldn't be affected by life's twists and turns, but how you accomplish them may. So what I realize is a big rock for me is physical fitness. I'm achieving a great level of physical fitness now, and I don't want to lose that. So going stand-up paddleboarding is not what I should do right now, but there are things that I can do to exercise that are safe, and I'm not going to injure myself more. And so, again, with the avulsion fracture, this is just a couple of examples to leave you with as and maybe help you think through what your big rocks are in different areas. But I've listed the big rock here: lifelong fitness, being present to and enjoying my family, mental and spiritual well-being, being available to my clients, and staving off arthritis. So that means moving, but it doesn't mean doing things that are going to make my injury worse. All these things that are little rocks, they're things that just really aren't important right now. I put dancing because if you know me and you've seen me dance, it's not even a little rock. Okay, so an example of a good curveball: traveling. I mean, I'm on vacation now. I know myself now, I've done the vacationing thing or the traveling thing enough to know that I need to include some time to rest and recoup. If I just try to push through and see all the sights and do all the things, I'm going to get run down and I'm going to stop enjoying it. And actually everybody around me is going to stop enjoying me being there. I need to find a way to exercise every day and maintain healthy eating habits, not just because I want to see a certain number on the scale, but because I know I'm going to start feeling bad, and that's going to fold into my ability to enjoy my time with friends and loved ones and getting as much sleep as I possibly can. Again, all these things on the right are little rocks. I want to do all of that, but if it comes at the expense of one of these big rock things, then maybe it needs to go on the shelf. And so I'll just leave you with this quote. I can't remember who said it, but it kind of sums up what we've been talking about here. it doesn't matter how much you think you're prepared for life. Something's going to happen and you're going to be totally unprepared for it. And so by getting clear on and committing to and communicating your big rocks every single day, then that will help you come out on top no matter what. It doesn't mean that you're not going to experience pain or difficulty, but you're going to be much more resilient and much more able to absorb either the stress of the bad things or even the stress of the wonderful things that can happen in your life. And so with that, I think that's my last slide. Prepare to be unprepared. So we stop sharing.
That was so
That
great.
was amazing, Kabrena. I'm sorry, I have to just say something. My sister-in-law, Kabrena, is an amazing person, amazing coach. And I'm so super proud of you. That was an amazing presentation, Kabrena. I love it. Big rocks are my favorite. Just saying.
Thank you.
And I did just want to say something because I had a curveball today. My daughter had a baby.
Woo!
She had a baby girl. Don't say anything, Kabrena. She's going to call you tomorrow, but I had to say something. Little Evie was born today.
Yay.
Everybody's good.
Congratulations.
Everybody's good. Everybody's healthy. She did have a C-section, but she's feeling great. So I have now a granddaughter, so I'm pretty excited. It's a great curveball, though.
Yes.
That's so awesome, Peggy. Kabrena, that was so great. Peggy, I'm glad you interrupted. Well, you didn't really interrupt. I'm glad you spoke up. I don't know if anyone has, we have like 1 minute if anyone has a question or a comment, and I'm going to put the 8:30 Habits of Health link into the chat. Because I think it's element 8, but anybody? Going once, going twice? All right, so thank you all for being here. Those of you who are coaches, stay for our coach training that's going to start in a minute or so. And for those of you who are not coaches, we want to see you next week. We'll have another great topic and another great inspirational stories. And Christy, thank you so much for sharing your story and your stories, and continued success in slow and steady winning your race. So, all right.
Thank you. Thank you very much.